Senator John McCain on the phone. Are you there, Senator?
Hey, Russ, how you doing?
Hey, I am doing really well, sir. Are you in D.C. today?
Trying to do the Lord's work in the city of Satan,
It's a great place, I understand.
Well, let me tell you, could I just tell you, we are about to on the floor. They have a, quote, emergency, another big spending bill on the floor, okay?
Yeah.
And the other body's going to vote for $190 billion in new spending. $134 billion of it they won't even pretend to pay for it. I mean, if there's ever a classic example of the disconnect of what you, Russ, and the Tea Partiers and everybody are all about, and why Americans are so angry. Let me just mention to you really quickly, there's $25 million to bail out a sugar cooperative in Hawaii. In Hawaii. This is deemed an emergency.
I didn't even know they did sugar in Hawaii.
Well, as you know, the chairman of the Money Committee, the Appropriations Committee, is Senator Inouye of, guess where? Hawaii.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. None of this is paid for. Listen to this. 24 Build America bonds, $24 billion. Health care for the unemployed, $7.8 billion. Payments to minority farmers, $4.6 billion. Welfare payments, $2.8 billion. Aid to localities, $2.8 billion. Disaster relief for farmers, $1.5 billion. Low-income housing, $1.1 billion. Summer jobs, you know that's an emergency.
Right.
$1.0 billion. I mean, it is not believable. And meanwhile, we're going to raise taxes, and we are going to, as you know, add again to the already $13 trillion deficits, which our kids and grandkids are going to have to pay for.
Senator, you're not making me feel warm and happy here.
Well, and you remember the stimulus package that was going to that we were going to have a maximum of 8% unemployment.
Sure.
It checked 9.9.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I mean, maybe with this one we can hold it down even to greater heights.
Now, and I was just talking about this bill you're talking about last hour, and I understand it's also going to quadruple the price on a barrel of oil, the taxes on a barrel of oil, to help clean up the BP oil spill. But yet Harry Reid, the president, said that it's not going to cost us a dime. BP is going to pay for everything.
It's the foolishness that goes on around here, and the misinformation that goes to the American people. And by the way, the American people are getting pretty fed up with the government's failure to really address this issue. I don't know if you saw the governor of Louisiana, who's a great guy, Bobby Jindal.
Bobby Jindal, yeah.
He expressed his frustration in a very incredible fashion. He just says the government's not providing them with the things that they need to try to prevent this incredible disaster that they are facing, and Americans are getting tired of that. But you know, and I have some confidence that we'll cap this bill at some point, and we'll clean it up some point. I'm wondering what we are doing to our future generations of Americans. $13 trillion debt, $1.4 trillion debt this year, $1.5 trillion debt next year, and you'd think they'd get the message. Even the Greeks are having to make cutbacks. Okay?
Yeah.
But not here in Washington. Not here in this town.
Well, and it's kind of surprising me that it continues. Is there no way to get this stopped, or is a Republican a minority that has no voice?
It's going to take an election, my friend. It's going to take an election, and all we can do is try to minimize the damage. I mean, to have these hundreds of billions of dollars not even paid for, okay? I mean, maybe there's an emergency in a sugarcane cooperative in Hawaii, okay? Mm-hmm. And in motorsports businesses and other sweetheart deals are in this. But wouldn't we want to pay for it? Huh? Wouldn't we want to pay for the damn thing? Huh?
I agree.
I mean, really, it is a disconnect of enormous proportions, and it makes it understandable why people are mad. And all we got to do now is make sure that I'm speaking for myself, mm-hmm. that we Republicans have to give a positive agenda for the American people. And I would start, number one item, a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution of the United States.
And do you think that would have legs at this point? Is that the right time to do it?
I think it was the time to do it was about 30 years ago, you know, but
yeah.
we tried once in the 90s, and we missed by one vote. In fact, it was a Republican senator from Oregon. I remember it well. We missed by one vote passing it through the Senate. But now, I think after the next election, it should be one of our first agenda items. Second thing, I think, is to not appropriate any money unless you pay for it. Find a way to pay for it. Do you know that the size of the federal government has doubled since 1999?
Did not know it was that much.
Do you know where the job growth has been in America?
Well, I know in the last year it's been government.
Government jobs. Yeah. Government jobs. This town is doing fine. Inside the Beltway, they're having a bonanza.
Well, shoot, I need a job, Senator. Give me a government job. That's what I want.
We do. But it's really infuriating. And now we're on the floor with this supplemental bill that they're going to say is an emergency, and we have to pass because we have to pay for the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I agree. But I think we're also getting to the point where we ought to find ways to pay for the war in Afghanistan and Iraq as well.
Yes, we do. A couple questions regarding Arizona.
Right.
Of course, 1070 just passed.
Yep.
And we've got Representative Grijalva has called for a boycott. I just want to know if you support the boycott.
Russ, I frankly, in all my years, I've never heard of a elected representative calling for action that would hurt the economy of his own state and district. 30% of our state is Hispanic, as you know. Many of them are in the hotel and tourism business. Mm-hmm. Who's going to be hurt? I just can't believe it. I think we ought to boycott those places that are boycotting us.
Well, and of course, there's been a lot of news about that, about Gary Pierce, who has written a letter to Los Angeles mayor saying, hey, if you want to boycott us, go ahead and give us our power back, cut it off.
What about the water, too?
Oh, the water, and of course, they dump their trash and sewage into our state. That's a business venture, too. We could cut them all off.
Right, and the reason why the state of Arizona acted is because the federal government has not carried out its responsibilities. As you know, John Kyle and I have a 10-point plan to secure the border. We're working on getting some of that done as we speak. But it was out of frustration and understandable frustration that the state of Arizona acted, and I have never in my life seen a law as falsely characterized as the mainstream media characterizes the law that was passed in Arizona. Compare it to the Mexican law, compare it to the federal law,
right, and
you will find that both of those are more stringent than the law passed in Arizona.
No, wait a minute, Senator, have you read it?
Yeah, I have it on my desk. I have it on my desk, and the point is that for the Attorney General to condemn it and the Secretary of Homeland Security to condemn it and have not read it is beyond belief. And for the President of the United States to characterize it as you could be harassed if you went out for your child with ice cream is a height of demagoguery.
And I'm upset with some of the things that have gone on, obviously, as most people are kind of outraged about the actions that have gone on. And one of them is President Calderon speaking to Congress. And I guess I'm not upset with Calderon as much as I am the White House allowing that kind of fiasco to happen.
Well, President Calderon obviously has his domestic constituency, but President Calderon, and I admire him in his fight against the drug cartels, but he obviously didn't know what was in the bill. He obviously, I think it was inappropriate for him to come to our country and criticize something that the state of Arizona had done. I just don't think that's appropriate, particularly since 241,000 of his citizens were apprehended in the Tucson sector last year crossing the border illegally. 1.2 million pounds of marijuana were intercepted over the Tucson sector of the border. And by the way, we have made significant improvements in the Yuma sector showing that you can make these improvements, Russ, and I think we ought to keep pounding that.
Yes.
You can get the border secure.
Apprehensions are down 95% in Yuma over the last 2 years. 95%. They've got control. and no one's paying attention.
Russ, I was on the program with you some years ago, and one of the biggest problems we had was illegal immigrants' intrusions onto the Berry Goldwater ranges, which was canceling missions and huge costs, not to mention training, and now that's largely disappeared.
It has, and you're right. They would have 18 aircraft in the air that fly out of Luke and fly out of Tucson. They'd all be in the air, and they'd say, "Go home, boys," because somebody crossed the border illegally. It happened
you know
regularly.
What they did, the Marine Corps and the Border Patrol and Yuma got together, and the county and city, and they got together and they bought some really not very high-tech surveillance equipment, and they started enforcing the border. And by the way, they also started incarcerating people that come across the border illegally in the Operation Streamline. Look, it can be done. We're proving it in Yuma. And anybody who says we can't does not really wants our government to abdicate its responsibilities.
Well,
now we have to do the same thing in the Tucson sector. By the way, I'm bringing it's not sealed, not completed yet, but going to bring the head of Northern Command, a admiral, 4-star admiral, down to the border to show him what we can do.
Okay, call me when that happens. I want to go meet him.
I will try to get that done.
All right. Hey, I got a question for you from a listener from California. His name's Jim Allen, so you can go after him with the IRS, whatever you guys do, if you want to. But
Jim, you're under surveillance.
All right. But he wants to know if you're a true conservative, and the question comes up occasionally because you support some issues possibly that have not been deemed as true conservative, and he says, "Are you a true conservative?"
Well, I think you just look at my record and the Citizens Against Government Ways, the National Taxpayers Union just named me Friends of the Taxpayers. I have and look at my national security credentials for supporting the surge when people said it would cost me any chance I might have to win the nomination of the Republican Party. I'll be glad to compare my credentials. Particularly, I have led the fight when it was not cool against earmark and pork barrel spending.
Oh, yeah?
I led the fight. I was unpopular for doing so. Now it's much more popular. And my opponent, Congressman Hayworth, vociferously defended it, engaged in it, and it led to corruption. That's why we had former members of Congress residing in federal prison. I'll match my record of physical conservatism against any member of Congress.
Well, if you want to get a predator after Jim Allen, I'll give you his
Jim,
name.
You're in trouble, Jim.
Yeah,
we got you on tape right now, and Jim, don't try it.
Sounds like a Pennsylvania ad.
And this is County Supervisor Russell McLeod also walked in here.
Hey, Russell, how you doing?
Good morning, Senator.
Hey, thanks for the great job you're doing, Russell.
Hey,
thank you.
A question for you. A caller called in and asked a question about your thoughts of the president having a party for the Beatles and not the vets this weekend.
Oh, I didn't know that was happening, but it's just I don't know how to. I don't know what to say.
I don't either.
I hope that he'll go to the National Cemetery at least for that ceremony, and I imagine that he will. I'm going to be speaking at a couple on Memorial Day, both in Prescott and in Flagstaff. But this don't ask, don't tell issue. They're going to try to jam the repeal of that through without even finding out what the effect on what the impact on battle effectiveness would be. They are doing everything they can to fulfill a campaign pledge of the president's to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and we clearly need to survey and figure out what effect that would have on battle effectiveness. Instead, they're just trying to jam it through. And one of the reasons why they're trying to jam it through, by the way, is that they think that after the November elections, they may not have the votes to do so.
Right.
And again, I'm all for a review of the policy, and want to listen to our leaders. But I also know that we have to be very careful in any change in it because we're in two wars. You agree, Russell?
Oh,
sure.
Yeah. It's a tough one. The polls recently, Rasmussen, on the election in Arizona, and of course, right now, the Tea Party's is saying we don't like incumbents. You're an incumbent.
Oh yeah. Listen, they don't like them at all. I'm happy to say that most of the Tea Party leaders have said that they are not going to get into this race again because Congressman Hayworth is a pork barreling earmarker. But the point is that I think the Tea Parties are vital to the future of this country. They're an expression of the anger and the disconnect between Washington and average citizens. I applaud what they're doing, and I will continue to do everything I can to work with them. As you notice, the latest Rasmussen poll, we have a 12-point lead. I hope to increase that lead. But look, these polls go up and down. I'm not taking anything for granted. I love campaigning. I love coming back to Yuma, where the first time I came there was way back many years ago as a young Navy pilot, and having the time of my life and going to all the cultural institutions in Yuma in the evening and enjoying the hospitality there.
Russ,
and I think you guys still owe me money.
We might, and you can get that from Russell McLeod, actually. Rasmussen also says 41% of the voters believe that we could do better in Congress if we just randomly pick people out of the phone book. You agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, you agree?
Fresh voices. But look, I have never seen, Russ, the anger and frustration at the level that it is today. But when we're passing legislation of hundreds of billions of dollars without paying for it and committing generational theft, no wonder. Are you surprised?
No, I mean, I can't believe that, that it continues, even with these disapproval ratings going down, Senator, though. No one seems to be paying attention.
They become addicted. Number one, they become addicted, and two, they feel a sense of complacency.
Is it complacency, or does it go right into arrogance, like we don't care what the constituents say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We don't care. Senator, I appreciate your time, and I am going to point out that it is 12 points ahead of Hayworth right now. Yeah. Even though some people have said it's single digits. I mean, I do pay attention to the polls.
Well, most of them show double digits, but look, the polls go up and down.
They do.
I'm not taking anything for granted. I'm working, and I love it, traveling and working. I started working the day after I lost. I hate to bring that up.
I wasn't going to.
The presidential thing, but I love it, and I love traveling. It's great. I love a good scrap. The old Irish saying, a fight not joined is a fight not enjoyed. And by the way, in case you missed it, Congressman Hayworth believes somehow that we didn't declare war on Germany.
I did see that the other day.
I'm not making that up.
No. Senator, I appreciate it. Go fight the good fight for us. Keep those taxes out of it. Save our children, would you?
Well, Russ and Russell, I want to thank you for your service. I thank you, Russ, for all your activism on the part of the citizens of not just Yuma County and Yuma, but Arizona, and I thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, sir.
Okay, see you back.
All right, bye-bye.